Chicago, the city of steel, glass, and endless ambition. A place where dreams rise as high as the skyscrapers and fall just as fast. Among those towers once lived a man who believed he had conquered fate itself. His name was James Hunt, a billionaire, a financial prodigy, a man who thought he had everything figured out. His name glittered across the stock exchanges, his skyscrapers touched the clouds, and his initials were carved into the world of luxury. On jets, cars, and clubs where only the elite belonged. He believed fate was a game for the strong, and he was the king of that game. But life has its own ways of humbling kings. It all began with a dream called Next Horizon, a startup James invested millions in, a bold project built on the promise of an artificial intelligence that could predict market trends before they happened. To James, it was the future. To his investors, it was perfection. Cameras flashed as he spoke on grand stages. Next Horizon, he said, will make financial uncertainty a thing of the past. But behind the confident smile and flawless suits, cracks had already begun to appear. When the system failed, it failed spectacularly. Instead of predicting profits, it triggered chaos. Markets shook, billions vanished, and the empire James had built began to crumble. The newspapers called him reckless, his investors sued him, and his name, once a symbol of success, became a headline for disaster. Within weeks, everything was gone. His houses, his cars, his friends, his reputation. Even the piano he had played as a child was auctioned off. He spent his final night in a luxury hotel he no longer owned, watching the rain fall through the glass. When morning came, he walked out into the streets of Chicago with a single suitcase and nowhere to go. The man who once owned half the skyline now had nothing but the reflection of his own mistakes in every puddle he passed. Then, as if by chance, he saw it, a sign glowing faintly through the rain. Cleaner wanted, Lakeview Hotel. He stopped. It was a small, modest building, nothing like the grand hotels he once controlled. A bitter laugh escaped his lips. Cleaner wanted. Perfect. He walked in and asked for the job. The manager didn't even look up. "We only have the night shift," she said. James nodded. "I'll take it." And so, the billionaire became a cleaner. The first night was brutal. His back ached, his hands, once accustomed to signing contracts worth millions, now shook as they gripped them up. The smell of detergent filled his lungs, and sweat dripped from his forehead. Yet in that struggle, something unexpected stirred within him. For the first time in years, he wasn't pretending. He wasn't performing. He was just living. On his third night, while trying to polish the floor, he met her, Lisa, the senior cleaner. She watched him struggle for a moment before smiling softly. "You're new, right? Don't scrub like that. You'll hurt your wrists. Here, let me show you." She guided his hands gently, showing him small, circular motions. "It's all about rhythm," she said, "not force." James laughed quietly. "Thanks, I'm not exactly a natural." "No one is at first," she replied. Lisa was kind, patient, and full of a warmth James hadn't seen in years. During their breaks, she told him stories about small joys, how a guest once left a thank you note, how the sunrise looked from the rooftop, how gratitude made even hard days better. Simple things, ordinary things. But to James, they felt extraordinary.
And slowly, something inside him began to change. He started to see beauty where he never looked before, in laughter shared between coworkers, in the quiet pride of a job done well, in the comfort of a smile given freely. The emptiness that wealth could never fill was now being replaced with something real. One night, while everyone else was asleep, James sat in the staff room with an old laptop. The screen flickered weakly, but his mind was alive. He began writing code, not for money, not for fame, but for the people around him. He wanted to help them work better, feel valued, and manage their time more easily. He called it HeartLink, a simple software that could organize schedules, track feedback, and make every employee feel seen. He told no one about it, not Lisa, not the manager. It was his quiet way of giving back to the people who had unknowingly saved him. Months passed and HeartLink began to spread. It helped small hotels improve operations and create happier workplaces. One morning, a group of journalists arrived to film a story about the unusual cleaner, whose program was transforming the hospitality industry. Cameras followed James as he mopped the floor. He looked uncomfortable but calm. Lisa smiled proudly. "He won't tell you this," she told the reporters, "but he's the reason this place feels different. He's more than just a cleaner. He's the heart of this hotel." A reporter turned to James. "Mr. Hunt," she asked, "you were once one of the most powerful businessmen in America. Now you're cleaning floors and building software for others. What changed?" James paused for a long moment. Then he said quietly, "I stopped trying to be a genius and started trying to be a person." Those words went viral. The story of the billionaire who became a cleaner and rebuilt his life from humility spread across the country. People were moved, not by his past wealth, but by his newfound wisdom. When offers started pouring in again, from investors and hotel chains wanting to partner with him, James surprised everyone. He refused them all. Instead, he chose to stay right where he was, at Lakeview Hotel, beside Lisa and the staff who had become his family. Together, they used HeartLink to help others, not for fortune, but for change. Years passed, and the small hotel that once struggled became a symbol of dignity and teamwork. Guests loved it not for luxury, but for the warmth they felt the moment they walked in. And every morning, James arrived early, sharing coffee with Lisa, laughing about life, and starting his shift with a smile. Time, however, moves quietly. Lisa grew older, and one spring morning, she passed away peacefully in her sleep. The entire hotel mourned. On the wall near the lobby, the staff hung a wooden plaque with her favorite words carved into it saying, "Happiness begins where pride ends." James stood before it for a long time, tears glistening in his eyes. "You were right, Lisa. You were always right." He kept working at the hotel, not out of necessity, but out of love. HeartLink continued to grow across the world, helping thousands of small businesses. But James never again sought the spotlight. His days of lavish parties and private jets were gone, and he was grateful for it. He had found something wealth could never buy: peace, purpose, and connection. Now, when guests checked into Lakeview, few realized that the man mopping the lobby floor had once been one of the richest men in America. To them, he was just James. Kind, humble, always ready with a smile. And that was enough. As the sun set over Chicago, its golden light reflecting on the hotel windows, James often stood quietly watching. The city that had once made him feel powerful now made him feel human. The sound of laughter, the scent of coffee, the simple rhythm of life, that was his new empire. And so the man who once ruled from the top of skyscrapers found true greatness at ground level. Because sometimes to find yourself, you have to lose everything first. What an incredible story of loss, rediscovery, and the power of humility. Life isn't measured by what we own, but by what we give. Tell me, dear friends, where are you watching this story from? If it touched your heart, give it a like, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe, because there are many more stories ahead reminding us all of what truly matters.